Hello and welcome to Envision. I'm Deanne Conrad here with Dr. Brian Maher, our superintendent, and you have been out and about in our community. I know that was one of the things early on is you got out and met a lot of people, visited a lot of places, just to get a feel for the community. But in all of those groups then, we serve students. How does a superintendent who has many, many meetings with community leaders and faith-based groups and all kinds of connections in the community, how do you get down to the nitty-gritty and hear what students have to say on particular issues?
It's a great question, and really one that I had when I moved to the district of how do you, the further you move away from the classroom, the tougher it is to stay in touch with those that we serve, which as you were aptly pointed out, are our students. One of the nice things that that was in place already, I didn't have to reinvent the wheel, is that we have a student advisory group here in the Sioux Falls School District. On a quarterly basis, I meet with about 20 students from each of our high schools around the district. So that's Washington, that's Roosevelt, that's Lincoln. It's also New Tech High and Joe Foss. So we have a real good or a number of different lenses that we bring to that table. And then what I'll do is I'll bring topics that I think might be of interest to the students, and then I'll open it up to the topics that they tell me really truly are of interest to the students.
I'm sure they do.
Yeah, they do, and they've been wonderful. And all you have to do is invite them to the table, give them a little food, and they'll really every time I walk out of there, I'll walk out of those meetings thinking, I forget how insightful our students are. And it's silly that I still think that when I walk away, because it happens invariably. This year, for example, we've had a number of conversations on the Blue Ribbon Task Force and talked to our students about the half-cent sales tax, talked about the imprint that would have on them about potentially looking at teaching as a profession personally, or looking at teaching as a viable profession for their friends or colleagues. Also talking to them about the transgender issue that came up and was received a lot of coverage by media, both locally, statewide, and nationally.
Yes.
They had some very interesting insight there. We had an issue on student attire and what's appropriate dress for students in schools. That was prompted by the a few students wearing Confederate flags at one of our schools. And so we talked about the appropriateness of that. And I could go on and on about the number of topics that are deep topics and not just how's the school food, which is important. But topics of greater interest and topics that really help drive policy. So the student voice is one that we not only value, we seek out and help drive some of the decisions that we make.
And I've been lucky enough to attend a few of those sessions in the past, and these students are very articulate, and they are very knowledgeable about the topics. These aren't kids who just woke up, rolled out of bed, and not going to give you information. It's a pretty good sign when we hear these students speak and they're focused on the topics.
As you were developing that question, I was sitting there thinking about a number of things that come up. Number one, we meet at 7:30 in the morning. So these students don't have to do this, and they don't get out of class to do this.
There's no credit to do it, no grade.
No, so it's truly voluntary on their side of things, other than I give them a little breakfast.
Sure.
So that's a neat thing. They don't have to be there. The second thing that I would say that really came to my mind as you were formulating that question was, I got to be careful and make sure that I want to know the answer to the question that I'm asking, because they're going to give me an unfiltered opinion.
Right.
They really were. It's definitely a lot of leadership around the table when we speak, or when they speak to me. So it's just been an interesting group. We try to create an environment where they feel willing to speak, and I think we've been successful in that, because they're very willing to speak their mind to me.
I kind of hope that some of those names that you see come up in your advisory group, they'd be great leaders for the city of Sioux Falls at some time, or great leaders of the Sioux Falls School District.
Yeah, without a doubt, and I think they will be, and I think it'll be a short period of time.
You bet. Well, wonderful. Good things happening in our schools. Thanks to our students who are very focused on what they're doing, what they're learning, and have a lot to say. So thanks for joining us today on Envision.